All You Need to Know, the Bloomberg Quint podcast that prepares you for the day's business.
Good morning and thanks for listening in. This is the All You Need to Know podcast on Bloomberg Quint and I'm Alex Matthew. Today is the 15th of September. Here's everything that you need to know. The first update I have for you is on the economy. Retail inflation data was released last evening and it continues to remain above the Monetary Policy Committee's target for the fifth consecutive month in August. CPI inflation was at 6.69% in August, compared with the revised estimate of 6.73% in July. It came in lower than the consensus estimates of economists polled by Bloomberg, which pegged the number at 6.9%. Inflation in the food and beverages category rose to 8.29% in August. Remember, the RBI's MPC is mandated to maintain inflation in the range of 4% plus or minus 2%. Speaking of food inflation, the government yesterday banned the export of all varieties of onions with immediate effect, a move that is aimed at increasing availability and checking the price of the commodity in the domestic market. Now, India continues to remain in the grip of the COVID-19 pandemic. In the 24 hours to 8 a.m. yesterday, India added 92,000 confirmed cases, taking the total to over 48 lakh. Meanwhile, as global cases cross 29 million, researchers in the UK are beginning the first study of whether two of the country's experimental COVID-19 vaccines can be inhaled, a possible way of raising their ability to prevent the airborne infection. In the banking space back home, there was a major update on the regulatory front that came in just after market hours yesterday. The Reserve Bank of India has reiterated that banks must fully automate the classification of a borrower's account as a non-performing asset and the calculations of provisions to be made against these advances. The RBI said that this must be completed by June next year. While the automation of asset classification was first prescribed in 2011, the RBI said it was observed that the processes for NPA identification, income recognition, provisioning and generation of related returns in many banks are not yet fully automated. Banks are still found to be resorting to manual identification of NPAs and overriding the system-generated asset classification by manual intervention in a routine manner. That's according to a circular that was sent out yesterday. In other updates, the Indian government is proposing to drop a condition that the winning bidder for Air India will have to take on $3.3 billion of the aircraft debt. That's a Bloomberg story that quotes people with knowledge of the matter. A group of bureaucrats has apparently vetted the plan, and under the new proposal, potential buyers will be allowed to bid on the enterprise value and not on the entity value of Air India, according to those people. Now, here's an interesting development that you probably didn't know about. Amazon.com has signed up Bollywood star Amitabh Bachchan for its Alexa voice assistant. According to the company's blog, users will be able to access Mr. Bachchan's voice on Alexa by purchasing the Amitabh Bachchan voice experience. In international news, Oracle's closely watched bid for TikTok's US operations will not only have to pass a US national security review, it's also going to need to win the blessing of President Donald Trump. The deal, if finalized, would create what Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin calls TikTok Global. He added that the unit would have its headquarters in the US and would create 20,000 jobs there. In international markets, stocks gained strongly yet again in the US, with the S&P 500 and the Dow ending higher by 1.3 and 1.2% respectively. The tech-heavy Nasdaq climbed 1.9%. But it's a mixed start to trade in the Asia-Pacific region. The Japanese benchmark, the Nikkei 225, was lower by over 0.8% last I checked, while the other two early risers were meandering between gains and losses. And with that, it's over to Hormuz Fatakia for the trade setup for the day in India. Good morning, Hormuz. How are we looking today?
Good morning to you, Alex, and to our listeners as well. Monday witnessed a tussle between banking and IT stocks during the final hour of trade, and despite 4 out of the top 5 gainers on the Nifty being IT stocks, it was the sell-off seen in banking heavyweights that led to the indices ending with losses. Lots of stocks are likely to be in action today, and starting with ICICI Bank, which has said that it has been exempted by the government with respect to shareholding above 30% in ICICI Lombard and ICICI Prudential for a period of 3 years, and that is until September 2023. Indiabulls Housing Finance has announced the closure of its QIP issue. The company has raised 683 crore rupees through the same at an issue price of 196 rupees a share, which is a 5% discount to the floor price. On to earnings now, and higher other income coupled with a deferred tax reversal kept PVR's net loss in line with Bloomberg consensus estimates. The company in its post-earnings release said that it has everything it needs to restart operations, including COVID-19 specific SOPs, customer engagement, and sufficient liquidity. On the flip side, a company whose net loss was wider than Bloomberg consensus estimates was Steel Authority of India, or SAIL. The company reported a net loss of 1,270 crore rupees against an estimate of 1,190 crore rupees. Apollo Hospitals' results were better than Bloomberg estimates, even though the hospital chain reported a net loss during the quarter. The company's pharmacy business, though, reported a 21% growth year-on-year. Some other companies like ITI, Future Retail, Raymond, and JB Chemicals will be reacting to their results reported after market hours on Monday. Vedanta will be reporting its results for the final time today as a Nifty 50 constituent before its exclusion from the index. Broader market names like All Cargo Logistics, Manpasand Beverages, National Fertilizers, Sterling and Wilson Solar, and VA Tech Wabag will also be reporting numbers today. Keep an eye out for rice stocks like KRBL and LT Foods in today's session. Bloomberg News reported that rice procurement during the forthcoming Kharif season is seen at 49.5 million tons. Today is also the last day of the price discovery process of the delisting of Hexaware Technologies. Institutional investors are seeking a premium of as much as 67% to the offer price set by the company's promoters to buy back shares. The details of this are available on our website, bloombergquint.com. Also in focus today will be ADF Foods, where Ashish Kacholia has purchased 0.7% stake at 378 rupees a share, and Take Solutions, which has initiated the liquidation process of its German arm due to the COVID-19 impact. Lots of stocks were buzzing on trade on Monday. HCL Technologies, which ended at a record high with gains of 10.5%. Bharti Airtel, which ended at a 5-month low and ended lower for the third straight day. And Heidelberg Cement, where Haitong Securities has initiated coverage with an outperform rating and a price target of 220 rupees, implying a 22% upside from current levels. Early ticks on the SGX Nifty indicate that the index is flat around the mark of 11,460. You can get more details on all of these stocks and a lot more in our All You Need to Know copy on BloombergQuint.com. And with that, I wish you a safe day ahead, and it's back to you, Alex.
Thanks, Hormuz. And as always, thank you all for listening in. This is Alex Matthews signing off. Have a great day.
I hope you enjoyed listening to All You Need to Know. Did you know that you can listen to the show on the IVM Podcast app? On the IVM Podcast app, along with this, we have a number of other shows which you think you'll enjoy. Listen to Cyrus Says with Cyrus Brocha as the host. Listen to Pesa Vesa with Anupam Gupta. The Scene and the Unseen with Amit Verma, or Shunya One hosted by Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay and myself. Check out the IVM Podcast app to get more talk content that you will enjoy.